Recording. Okay. What's up, everybody? So today, me and Conix are gonna do a breakdown of our new draft league. This new season. Want to introduce yourself, I
Hello.
guess?
Yeah, I'm Conix. I've got a YouTube channel too. I'm sure he'll link it down in the
It
description.
it will be.
Um, yep, we're both going to be making videos, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, let's jump right into it.
Yeah. So we're just gonna go right in order. And just talk about all the teams, top to bottom. And so yeah, let's start at the top with the Silver Smeargles. They had the first overall pick, and they went with Urshifu Rapid Strike for that pick. Um,
Great
Not a bad
choice.
pick. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
the second
is
most.
it the number one Pokemon or is it number two?
It's number two behind Fluttermane, but
Okay, well, both. Yeah, very strong.
yeah,
Actually, it's very close. Actually, Fluttermane's 49% and Urshifu Rapid is 48.98%. So it's incredibly close.
yep. So,
It's very strong. I mean, you don't ever have to predict protects. And just something that I remember from last draft league, I played into Quaquaval and Tauros Water, and water fighting is just amazing dual stab because there's nothing that you can Terra into that resists both of them. So like if they get the move correct, like you can't always resist it, which is really scary.
yep.
Um, and its biggest weakness, I guess it has low special defense, but its speed tier is a little bit slow, and Talonflame immediately patches that right up with Priority Tailwind. So that's just an incredibly powerful combo right off the get-go.
hmm Yeah. Um, I mean, just having the basically prankster tailwind. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes the rest of the team also a lot scarier because like Hydreigon also kind of falls in that like
Yep.
kind of middling speed tier. Rotom
Same with
definitely
Thunderous
appreciates
Therian
it.
too.
Mhm.
Like
But
that's why Thunderous Therian is like lower. That's why it's an A tier because it's got what 145 special attack, which is insanely high. But it just has 101 speed, which is like outsped by a lot of stuff. So it's down in A. But with Priority Tailwind, that gets patched up. And it also is interesting because it has Volt Absorb, so it kind of mitigates a little bit of the electric weakness of Urshifu and Talonflame. So it's a great third overall pick for this
hmm
team.
I think a lot of the rest of the team is basically just trying to patch up that electric weakness. 'Cause you look
Yep,
at
with the
Hydreigon that's
Toad
a resist,
Scroll.
Rotom that's a resist,
Mm-hmm.
Thundurus of like has Volt Absorb, Toedscroll is an immunity, Quagsire is an immunity.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of crazy.
Weavile is probably just there for fake out, and it's a very fast fake outer too. So with because Talonflame obviously does not really ever want to take a fake out because it'll break Gale Wings. So Weavile is probably to my like the fastest fake outer that I can think of off the top of my head. I can't think of
Yeah.
anybody faster. So you don't and you really kind of sucks to run Covert Cloak on your own fake out Pokemon. So
hmm
like it kind of just helps to shut down other fake outs when you put it next to Talonflame.
Yep.
Um, Wordier, I'm assuming is probably just there to have an Intimidator because it's usually nice to have at least one. Um,
hmm
and
And
it
this team
can
doesn't
it I
really have a Trick Room component. Even it has Trick
yep
Room
you can
Setter,
also
but yeah.
yeah you can also it gets into prison as well, so you can imprison
Oh,
Trick Room and
nice.
stop opponents from Trick Rooming. Yeah,
hmm
I looked at Stantler, and if Stantler gets it, so does Wordier, obviously.
Yeah. And then I think the D tier picks were probably just like meme picks, honestly. Ditto is so hard to use in draft that it's almost never worth it.
Yeah,
And
I
then
agree.
Quagsire is just a silly little
I think
guy.
Quagsire definitely has a niche against any setup Pokemon. I guess the Dondozo team maybe it might be a counter pick for that because you can sit there with unaware and not be killed. That's the only real setup Pokemon I see, except for maybe actually it could be for Enamorous Thundurus. That could come out there.
hmm Um, yeah, it seems there's not a lot of setup teams. Like
I know. I
or
was
setup
surprised by
mons
that.
really at all. I guess Mudsdale kind
Um,
of. You want to stack the stamina
the defense
boost.
boosts. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, there's mons that get like Dragon Dance, but you don't have to
mhm.
always run it. I guess Azumarill gets Belly Drum. It actually doesn't look too bad into the Lynchburg Litten's team, just because there's a lot of Swords Dance, a lot of there could be Justified, there could be Belly Drum on that team, but it doesn't have to do that, which is like it's a
Mhm.
risk, it's a gamble.
Yeah. And like yeah, like Iron Hands can gambit both hit Swords Dance, but they don't have to do that, obviously.
Hmm.
They're very strong
Yeah,
anyways. Same with like Mimikyu.
Goldengo got Nasty Plot. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and even the Enamorous Thundurus combo doesn't have to do that. You can just use Thundurus and Enamorous individually as very strong Pokemon.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
So I
also,
think
a tip if you ever play Lilyco's Fields, make all your Pokemon female because in case it's like Calm Mind Enamorous for whatever reason, it'll be running Cute Charm. So all female Pokemon that week.
that's very funny.
Because in case it ever wants to boost like normally, like with Weakness Policy, Calm Mind, or even if it's just doesn't want Contrary, it
Yeah.
has to run Cute Charm because it's the only other ability.
But yes, but we will get to that team later.
We'll get there
Um,
later. Yes.
yes. Uh, as for I thought the Smeargles was pretty bad on first look, honestly. But like thinking about it more, I think the way like the synergies aren't immediately obvious, but I think it turned out pretty well. I think this is
I
a
think
pretty
it's a
solid
very
team.
top heavy team. I think like the top four are incredible, and then like the lower down you get like the kind of worse they get. I guess they've got better C tiers than B tiers in my opinion. I think
Yeah, I would
Toedscool and
agree.
Weavile are both very good C tiers. Rotom Heat, like it's a great Pokemon, and I love it on my team. But the only problem that I see with it is that it shares a Fire type with Talonflame, and it shares an Electric type with Thundurus. So you probably
Hmm.
could have got something better in that slot.
Yeah.
Wordeer is pretty good though. I think
Yeah. They did double up on typings quite a bit.
a lot. Yeah. Yeah, there's two water types, two ground types, two fire types, two electric types,
Two
two dark
flying
types.
types.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Two ground types. Yeah. It's just overall sharing a lot of typings. But I think that
But luckily they didn't triple up on anything, which is good.
yes.
Because last season we had the LeBron zongs with like four water types. Because even I mean even I had a rain team. I only had two water types, being my setter and my swift swimmer.
Mhm. But speaking of you, I
Yeah,
want to
here's
talk about
me
your
right here. Yeah. So I wanted either Sun or Mouse Ape. And I had some info that Scott was gonna take Sun, so I decided to go for Mouse Ape. And luckily they let me. I picked Annihilate second overall, so I was pretty much guaranteed it since I knew first pick was either gonna be Urshifu, Fluttermane, or something else. And then luckily I was able to get Mousehole on the way back, so that was very nice. Unfortunately, I got my third choice from me, which was Roaring Moon. That was sniped from me. I wanted Roaring Moon because I used it at regionals. I used Mouse Ape with Roaring Moon, and it was really good. That got sniped, so I went with my backup of Gyarados. But then Gyarados opened up this door for Iron Treads because Iron Treads' real biggest weakness is that it doesn't learn high horsepower or Headlong Rush, so you're kind of forced into either Earthquake or Stomping Tantrum. So by having a flying type on in my high ups, I can use Earthquake without as much risk. And then right after that, I was hoping for Rotom Heat so that I could have a strong water type, a strong fire type, and I had the intention of taking Electrode too down Indeed, have a grass type, but I didn't get that. Um, but then Rotom Heat got taken one pick before me, and I like because I had a double pick coming up essentially in Iron Treads, and then it goes to Silver Smeargles, they pick two, and then back to me. I thought there's no way they pick Rotom Heat because they already have a fire type and an electric type on their team. But they did, so then I just got my backup of Rotom Wash. I still don't think it's not bad though, because it doesn't share weaknesses with Gyarados, even though they share typing, because Gyarados is weak to electric and Rotom is weak to grass. So they don't share any weaknesses, which I think is still good. Next
Yep.
up was actually your suggestion for my team. That's Overquill.
Yeah,
I
this
think
is the
it's
one
really
that
good
I've
because it,
been like looking at for a while.
yeah,
Alolan Muck was really good in in Sun and Moon. And then
mm-hmm,
Dark Poison is a really solid typing.
yep,
And Overpool gets Intimidate, so
yes,
it's
yeah.
even
It's
even
just Muck
bulkier.
with Intimidate, pretty much. Yeah, and it's a little faster too, which is nice. It opens up some interesting stuff because it gets Pin Missile. It's a little slower than Annihilate, but I can EV it to be faster. I can Pin Missile the Annihilate and proc Rage Fist, which I think is really funny. Um, it's got Swift Swim also as an option, but there's no Rain Team for me to use that against since nobody got Pelipper. Um, but the big thing is obviously Intimidate. It also helps versus Fairies, which Annihilate is weak to. And it's only weak to ground, and I have two floaters on the team thus far, which is really nice. Next up, I've got Noivern, which I just wanted a Tailwind setter since I didn't have any Tailwind setters in the top like six Pokemon. So Noivern, very good Tailwind setter. It's very fast. I used it to great success last season. Um, the only thing that I have to say about it is that like it's kind of just fast. Like it doesn't
Hmm.
hit very hard at all, and it's not bulky like at all. But the speed is very nice. Um, Next up was a pick that is a mon that I've never used before, and I don't think it's very good, but it's Rabska purely for Revival Blessing, because
With
when you
the
revive
Annihilate.
Annihilate, it keeps all the boosts that you've given it on Rage Fist. So I could send this guy out Revival Blessing and then get Annihilate back, and then hopefully sweep with my powered up Annihilate. The only thing I wish was that Custat Berry was legal in the game because it learns Endure. So I could Endure, get a Custat Berry, and then get a guaranteed Revival Blessing. But if they see the Revival Blessing coming, they can just double into Rabska, which is something that I foresee happening a decent amount because it's bulky, but not bulky enough to take 2 hits.
And it's still a bug type, so,
Yep,
the
Bug
bug
Psychic,
psychic is
which
a
is not
really
good.
bad defensive typing.
Yeah, and like I would have taken Palmot, but Palmot was in B tier, which is like I didn't necessarily want to use a B tier pick for that. And it also shares this fighting type with Annihilate, making me a little fairy weak and also more psychic weak. Rapska
Mhm.
only makes me a little more ghost weak since Annihilate isn't weak to dark.
Yes.
My next pick was actually Sneasel. I did that in the opposite order of what they're shown there. Sneasel learns beat up, so I can still use it to proc Annihilate. I didn't have any fake out on the team, and I wanted that. And Sneasel's also immune to opposing fake out, which is a niche that it has over Weavile. It's a little slower, but it's immune to fake out, which I think is worth it in the end. Then the last pick, that was supposed to be an Electrode, but Electrode got sniped like really early, so I didn't get it. And then Brambleghast is a mon that I used last season. It does so much damage. Like it's got 115 base attack, and in the Tailwind, it's +1. It can one shot so much stuff. Like last season, I used Power Whip to one shot Annihilate always, like even unterra'd, because I predicted Terra Water into my rain team, and then I'm just like, okay, if I just hit it with a neutral grass type attack, it can't Terra into a defensive type since it's going to be Terra Water. I one shot. That's like absurd. Annihilate is so bulky, and I one shot it with Power Whip from Brambleghast. That was so strong. And nobody
Bramblecast is
picked it up.
awesome.
And it's got great synergy with Noivern because Noivern sets up the Tailwind, boosts Brambleghast, and then Noivern can Boom Burst next to it while it's also firing off powerful single target attacks. It's really strong. So like Electrode would have been cool there too, because Electrode you can obviously still boom burst next to because it's got soundproof. But I'm not gonna say no to Brambleghast. Plus, that was the second to last pick of the entire draft, and nobody picked it. And last time it was in C. I took it in C tier in the last draft league, and now it's D tier. So it just got better this time around.
Yeah. So something I do want to
All right.
mention, about just in this draft overall, steel types were pretty rare. They add a
Yes.
premium. Um, you look through, and a lot of teams just don't have a steel type at all. And
Mm-hmm.
like you'll see Pokemon like Klefki and
Corviknight in A.
Corviknight in A tier. That normally
Like the
like
only the
prob
only A tier steel types I think are Corviknight, Gudra, and Iron Treads, I believe, right? Is
and
Klefki? No,
Scizor.
Klefki's in A. Klefki.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Scizor
Scizor.
too. Scizor too. You're right.
Yeah. Um,
So yeah, they're very rare, and that's why like I took Iron Treads because like normally I wouldn't take it. Like I don't think. I mean, maybe it's an A tier pick. I feel like it's just, and every time I've tried it in actual VGC, it's just been so weak. But
yeah, it's
I took
been
it in draft because
not
I
quite good
really just
enough
need a
every
steel
time.
type. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
it really is like it's got a great stats. It just really needs a single target ground type attack. That's really what it needs.
but yeah, if you look at like so, our our the players you want to look out for, I guess, root for are obviously me and Conix. Then we got the Lynchburg
Hmm.
Littons here with our friend Nen, and the Washington Wug Trios with our friend Rusty's. Um, and you notice all of us got like high tier steel types, and I
Yes.
think that our drafts are like a lot better for it. Um,
Hmm.
there's also like Scott at the end. Or no, not Scott. Sorry. Red Sulks. KD. He
Hmm.
got high tier steel type as well. And so
Yeah. Well, he got two actually, Gudra and Goldengo,
oh, that's right. Yeah.
because he got
Um,
last pick Goldengo.
I know that was crazy. But
Yeah, and then King Gambit's up there. King Gambit I think is really good in draft. Um,
mhm.
and there's also a high up. Who was it? Was there another S tier steel type? I could have sworn there was, but I guess I'm not seeing it. So oh, it's yours obviously
Yeah,
with
my
Heatran.
Heatran. But yeah. So, anyways, I guess you want to just move on to mine. Um,
Yeah, I've
I
I've said everything I need to say.
Yeah. So my draft. honestly went pretty well. This was pretty close to what I initially wanted. Especially those top three were very high on my list. Um, Tornadus was my first overall pick, um, and I'm really glad that I managed to get it. Um, and then to pair with it, I thought Heatran was just the best. Like having that's a really good natural synergy. And Heatran's weakness is that it's like a little bit slow. It's pretty slow actually, not even a little bit.
Hmm.
So being
77,
able,
I think.
yeah, so being able to have the best Tailwind setter in the game, um, to go next to it that also is immune to ground, as a good like defensive
Hmm.
synergy, I thought that worked out really well. I was convinced that I was not going to be able to get Heatran on the way back, but I did. Here, uh, managed to go
Yeah,
all however however many picks. Um,
like 24, I think, for you, and 25 for me, or something like that.
yeah, 26 for you because I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
two.
yeah.
Um, but we kind of had a boost here because, like we mentioned earlier with Nan and Rusty's, we knew that we weren't going to be competing um,
Hmm.
for Mons.
S tier,
Uh,
yeah, because we all knew what the other people wanted.
yeah, we planned together. Um, so that did take some of the like anxiety out of it. But yeah. And then I also managed to still get Salamence on the way back.
Hmm.
And funnily enough, so the Thunder Waves right after me, they wanted their top two picks for A tier were Gyarados and Salamence, which the two of us took
That's right. I do remember that. We, I think it was
in
probably they wanted
succession.
Solomons and then Gyarados as like a backup or something.
Yeah.
Because like I mean those Pokemon both do great under screens because they both are
hmm
Dragon Dancers that can set up with screen support. I would have loved a screen setter for my team, but they all got taken from me.
Yeah, Morgrim went in like round three, I think.
Yeah, because Spring took it. Yeah, and then Klefki took went. Although I had my A tiers at that point, and then I
hmm
didn't really want Sableye because I didn't want more Fairy weakness on my team.
Yep. Yeah. So I think my team, I think the defensive center, it's not super great defensively, honestly. It's not, other than
Actually, I think
Heatran,
it's pretty good overall.
um,
Because like, look at it. You've got Heatran's weak to ground. You've got two flying types. You've got like three fairy weaks on your team, and then Heatran is the best fairy killer like in the game. Iron
mhm.
Leaves is weak to fire, and Titan is too, and Heatran's got flash fire. I think Heatran is just
So Titan's not
incredible, like
really
a
weak to fire,
incredible.
but
Yeah,
it's
I guess with
bad.
flash fire. I guess you can also run slush rush though, because you have
hmm
the option of snowscape
Tornadus,
tornadus.
yeah, but
Hmm.
yeah. I think I meant like defensive stats wise. I'm
Yeah,
glad
yeah,
I got
yeah.
it in Intimidator because a lot of these are pretty frail physically. Um, like Valiant leaves, like, Titan even, or actually Titan's defense is alright. But
I
Zoroark,
think it what
Florges, uh, none of them have very good physical defense. Um,
actually, Valiant's okay. It's 70-90. That's like a little bit worse than
that's
Corv. That's just less HP
yeah,
Corv, kind of. But you're not going to invest, obviously, in it.
hmm
Um, because it's the special defense is the one that's low on Valiant,
right, yes, but
and then Leaves is higher special defense.
yeah, because it's got the Virizion stat line kind of,
Yeah,
but
pretty much. Yeah, it's faster though, which is really nice.
hmm but yeah, and so you'll see it's the overall theme of this team is just kind of high stats across the board.
Hmm.
Um, the only like bad Pokemon, like quote unquote bad stats is Pincurchin, which is there just for electric terrain to pair with Iron Valiant and Iron Leaves. I think that combo is going to be like, really really funny. I don't know like how good it will be,
Yeah.
or even if I will bring it that often because it means I have to bring Pincurchin, but it's an option. I have it. Um, and yeah, I think Cleavor I picked up mostly because like I think Stone Axe is a really interesting move, and I just
Hmm.
wanted to use it. And also, Conix ran into this awesome Cleavor set online,
I did. I did. I got owned.
and so I was like I have to use it. Um, so and also quick guard is really really good because my team doesn't
Hmm.
have like a the Farigiraf or Serena or Bruxish in order
Hmm.
to like block priority. Because even though I'll have Tailwind, that obviously cannot speed if they're in a higher priority bracket. Um,
I'm actually very surprised that nobody took Cress, because I was about to say Cleaver has a great matchup into Cress because you have Sharpness X Scissor, which is 120 base power
Yeah.
stab bug move. That's like
Um,
absurdly strong. I mean, you could probably one shot Ting Lu with that, to be quite honest. Like it probably kills Ting Lu.
it might. I would not be surprised. It's so strong. But, and yeah, I'll just pull up my full team right here. Just looking like, even in the level at level 50, all these stats are still pretty like pretty big. Everything just across the board. It's all just like, I think my only bad like base stat total is 435 with Pincurchin, like I said, and the second is Cleavor with 500, and it's not even that bad because it's got such good distribution. Um, they
Hmm.
having special attack so low is so nice. Um,
Yeah, yeah. And
and
it hits a good speed tier. It's like it's got a better speed tier than Scizor. I think it's a little bit less bulky than Scizor, and it's got a much worse typing. But I mean, it's what, a tier lower? Yeah, so can't really complain. And it's
mhm,
like that speed tier is actually really nice with Tailwind because
yep.
you'll be outspeeding a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I
Um.
was really happy to be able to get like some mid-speed Pokemon like Forgeous at 75 and Titan at 73 and Cleavor at
Hmm.
85 to go with Tailwind. Because that's like often their biggest weakness in a real VGC is that is
Yes.
not quite as an awkward speed tier. But it's what it is.
Do you have any? What's your best way to deny Trick Room? Because that's something that could be a problem.
I have
I guess you got
multiple
Taunt
taunters,
Tornadus.
and I
Yeah,
also
just double taunt.
um yeah uh that's kind of it. I don't have very like Tornadus is my only real support Pokemon. Everything else
Well,
is
actually, looking at the teams, there's not really any Trick Room teams other than Rusty's, right? Scott has a Trick Room mode, but his setter is Slowpoke, which is not
uh
that threatening.
Victoria Bells also have a like, pretty solid Trick
Oh,
Room game.
that's right, because they snipe picks from. Oh, but they only have one setter in Slowbro though, so that's probably not the worst to deal with because you could probably just
Hmm.
Thunderbolt it with something, or you've got Iron Leaves to uh
Yeah,
Energy Ball it or
it,
whatever. Is Iron Leaves mixed or is it only
it's
physical?
physical. It's only
Okay, that is a
physical.
little harder though. Yeah, it is a
But
little harder because Sliver's got higher defense.
mhm. But yeah, I mean, Leaves is also nice because it'll avoid the Rage Powder.
Oh,
Um,
that's true. Yeah, yeah, that's probably a good option. Do you want to? Are you going to tell the people about the strat, the synergy that we found, or are you going to keep that a secret
ooh, well,
until
this
the
might
time
be a
comes?
secret. This might be a spice too hot for this video.
Okay,
Um,
we can't tell in this video, but I came up with this insane strategy. I don't even know what inspired me. I saw something happen in a YouTube video. It was just like a mundane thing. It was like something that happened in an OU game. And I'm like, that gives me an idea for a Pokemon that I have loved to build around in draft because I've actually there's two Pokemon that get this ability and I've built teams featuring both of the Pokemon before, and I've used the ability a couple times, but I've never used it like this. This is like such a good interaction, and I'm actually astounded that nobody else has ever used this before because I feel like this is just such a powerful synergy.
yeah, but can't don't wanna hype it up too much. Gotta let people well, they'll find out. They'll see in a video
Mm.
soon.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's my team. It's silly. Got a lot of silly little guys like Zoroark and
Yep,
Pincurchin. Zoroark's so fun. Illusion is such a funny ability.
it
Um,
is. It is.
not quite as
I like
good
how Zoroark
as on Hisui and
as the
Zoroark,
other one.
but
Yeah. But I mean, like for a C tier, it's not you can't really complain. Plus, like Zoroark's like
hmm
the only C tier left that doesn't share types with like your other guys. So,
yeah,
um, because like you that was your last pick overall, wasn't it,
it
Zoroark?
was.
And at that point,
Yeah.
we're just like, what here just doesn't share a type with somebody else? Because there's not really anything here.
hmm Yeah, my top C tiers that I wanted earlier on in the draft were like I liked Toedscruel a little bit. I like Gardevoir a lot. I really wanted Serena. And then like and Arboliva was the last one.
Hmm.
And all of
They all
those
got
went
taken.
before I could get them. Like Serena went so fast. Um, and that was my number one pick overall. But then I managed to get
Hmm.
leaves anyways, so it turned out all right. I'm still
Yeah, I
fine,
wanted
even
I wanted a Mudsdale so that I could beat up the Mudsdale and get +4 defense and then body press stuff, but that went actually really early too. Um, I did plan on taking Rabska, and I didn't think anyone would take it, but Noivern was a backup pick when Mudsdale went early, so I think it's worked well with my team.
Yep. All right.
All right.
So on to the next
Anything else
one.
you want to talk about your team? Okay,
No, not
Thunderwaves,
really.
Thunderwaves.
Yeah, Thunderwaves. The Dozo Kiri team
At
that
the
managed to
very
get
end,
to the last two picks. That was kind of wild. Um,
yeah.
but they
Um,
did it really strategically. They managed to like holding off on leaving an S and an A till the very end. Like pretty much
mhm,
guaranteed that they would get it because everyone else picked theirs pretty early, and nobody really
yep,
wanted to commit to Dondozo or Tatsugiri like and risk not getting the other Mon. Um,
mhm,
and risk having someone just take it just out of spite. So I think that was a really good job. I
yep,
don't necessarily like a lot of their picks individually, um,
yeah.
but it's going to be a
I
very
think
bulk.
like, yeah, yeah,
The top three, the top four, I guess. They're gonna make it be so hard to take out and hip out on
yeah.
as well.
They've also got I saw in Scott's video he mentioned that they can explode Azelf next to Tatsugiri and then like do the Endeavor poison orb, get a partner next to Dondozo. Luckily this team
Hmm.
didn't manage to get Flamigo, but I mean even still having a boosted Dondozo next to something powerful, like even next to Grimmsnarl or Luxray or anything really, Typhlosion even, it's just so much more threatening than a solo Dondozo. So that's something
Yes.
to watch out for. And there's also the synergy of Azelf plus anything, I guess. Azelf plus any this Zoroark disguised as something else, and then you can just explode
Hmm.
next to your Zoroark, and Zoroark won't take damage.
Yep.
So
I
it's
do. I
very
want to point out that this player took Typhlosion with their third pick.
yeah,
Um,
that was insane.
that was
And
like
not even the ghost one, not even the
yeah,
ghost one, the real one.
yeah.
Like the only niche that real Typhlosion has over the ghost one is that it's got flash fire. So, but there's no lava plumer on this team, and it's this team isn't weak to fire types at all because you've got Dondozo, you've got Garganackle, you've got a quad resist with
Tatsugiri,
Tatsugiri.
you got Inteleon.
This team isn't weak to fire at all. So I think I would have picked the ghost one to help against extreme speed spam on a certain team, as well as fake out is like Typhlosion's biggest weakness because fake out chip just drops your eruption down to like 110 base power, over 150, and with spread damage that hurts.
Yep. Um, yeah, this team I think is I don't know how much it'll benefit from the screens outside of those top four because like Zoroark and Teleon, Typhlosion, and Azelf aren't really like boosting their defenses by 1.5 isn't really going to help because their defenses are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I'm
Hippowdon help likes the screens, and I guess Luxray kind of too with Intimidate. But I think a big thing that
yeah.
Grimmsnarl is going to do with those middle Pokemon, because it's like you've got some bulk at the top and bottom, and those middle guys are all fast and hit hard. I
Hmm.
think Grimmsnarl. Actually, wait, does Grimmsnarl learn Fake Tears? I should know this because I used it before. Because Fake Tears and Thunderwave, I think, are the ones that you're going to use if you're going to go
Yeah,
Hyper Offense mode. It does
that's
get
true.
fake tears. So Grimmsnarl fake tears next to Typhlosion, Azelf, and Zoroark is probably the mode that would do. So this team actually,
Hmm.
upon further inspection, I think is pretty scary. It's definitely not the best team in the league, but it's got some good strats that it can pull. It depends on how
Yeah,
creative of a team builder the Thunderwaves
that's
is.
true.
I don't know
Yeah.
the player name.
Hmm. Yeah. It's kind of rough that like all of the offense is kind of concentrated in Dondozo and
And
Inteleon, and I guess
mhm.
Zoroark. But 'cause I'm to be honest, I'm not scared of the regular Typhlosion. um,
Well, I mean, I don't think either of us should be, but if you've got like, I think for Washington Wug Trios, I think that team,
mm,
um, is pretty weak to Typhlosion aside from Dragalge and Tauros. I guess Ursaluna too, but I mean, if Ursaluna gets fake tears, that's probably going down to Specs
mhm.
Eruption.
But like Hippowdon's not really doing a ton of damage. Luxray is in that bad speed tier where also like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not bulky enough to really survive that well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so having two of your top three like damage dealers share it to like both be water type,
A slot, yeah,
I don't like.
yeah,
I don't like
yeah.
that very much. But.
And plus, in draft, Dondosu Tatsugiri is just immediately worse in draft because you know it's
Hmm.
coming. If you've got 3 fake outers, you can just cycle fake out and just kill it immediately. Which I don't think anybody managed to get 3 fake outers. I did get 3 fake outers last time with the intent of doing that because I think that's really funny to just fake out, switch forever. Um, but then I didn't face the Dondozo team last time around. But you've still got Haze. You've got I guess Toxic isn't a real strat, but Haze is the big one.
Hmm.
Or Clear Smog, or even just like sleeping it with Spore or even Yawn.
Yep. I don't have much else to say about this one. It's cool.
Yep,
I like how they strategize the draft. I don't love the
yep.
team. Um,
Yeah, I think
but
if they're a creative enough team builder, I think they can make it work. But it
hmm.
depends on what kind of teams they build and their matchups
Yep.
too, probably because some teams just don't have Haze, and then that's
Hmm.
just a much harder matchup, or it's a much
For
better
sure.
matchup for the Thunder Waves.
Hmm. All right. Next, we got the Lynchburg Littons, coached by Nen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and this one was so Nen was actually on
The,
in the car on the way back from vacation during the draft. So a lot of it was like like
He was
very
just typing to us, yeah,
yeah.
typing to us. It was so funny. The funniest thing is that the day before the draft, we had a whole discussion about like should we move Dragonite up to S plus because like Shanpao Dragonite is like so strong, and everybody said no. There's no way Dragonite lasts that long, and then Dragonite almost lasted that long until the guy right before Nen took it specifically so that Nen couldn't have it, which is like so it's like so funny.
Yeah.
But it's like I knew in my mind somebody's like if Dragonite makes it long enough for Qian Pao to go, that's it's not gonna make it that long. Dragonite's so good, somebody's gonna pick it, and I'm just like in my head, I'm like, there's like 25 Pokemon here that I'd pick above Dragonite. Like
Yeah.
all of these Pokemon S tiers are so good, but I would not take Dragonite without Qian Pao.
Yeah.
And it almost made it, and the only reason it went was to prevent Nen from getting it. And I believe that's like the only intentional snipe in the league. Because
I
like
think
obviously
so.
we sniped Gyarados and Salamence, but we just want those. But the Dragonite was the only one like sniped with the intent of like not letting somebody else have a Pokemon that they want.
Hmm.
But
But
then
I think
I just
the Arcanine still
somehow
also
Arcanine,
gets
yeah, somehow Arcanine made it. I'd say Arcanine's a better Pokemon than Dragonite, and it made it that long. And I'm just like, all right, take Arcanine. It's you have the option of Intimidate. You've got Flash Fire potentially to help out with Chien-Pao's fire weakness. And it's still got Extreme Speed Terra Normal. It's just the same thing with less attack,
hmm.
and
And then
it's faster too. Yeah.
oh, well, actually, no. There was one more kind of snipe, and that was Serena later, which was taken. At, Scott took it just because he saw the Lynchburg Littens have so much priority.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that's not really a snipe. That's a
yeah,
counter pick, I guess, because
yeah,
nobody wanted, or people want Serena, but he didn't take
mhm,
it to prevent somebody
I
else from
know.
having it. He took it because he wanted it. Yeah. But that
Yeah,
was a counter. This team did get like essentially counter picked twice, which is
yeah.
really funny. But I mean, if you look at it, this is an absurdly strong team. This was
Hmm.
like a team that I was theory crafting for me, and then like Nem was just like, I don't know what to draft, and I'm like, here's like an old team that I was considering. I gave it to him, and he's like, wow, this looks so strong. I'm gonna go for this because my like that team had Chien-Pao, Dragonite, Azumarill, Scizor as the top four, and that's just a lot of priority. It's a lot of physical attackers, and it's really strong.
Hmm.
And then eventually he did change up the lower tiers. He added some special attackers like Rotom Fan and Gudra. I suggested Jumpluff as a support Pokemon to potentially redirect. Basically, you can redirect and get Azumarill, a Belly Drum with a free turn. You can get Scizor, Swords Dance, and then Jumpluff's probably going to die because it's frail. Rotom Fan is just a special attacker so that you're not destroyed by
Hmm.
Intimidate. Lucario can
Yep.
go either way, but it also learns Extreme Speed and Bullet Punch, and
Yep.
it's good.
Yeah.
Lycanroc's got Excel Rock.
It's so
And
much
then Houndoom,
priority.
yeah. And then Houndoom is there because Arcanine and Lucario both have the option of Justified. So
Mhm.
that was just the fastest beat upper that was left because I took Sneasel, Silver Smeargle
Houndoom's
took
also
Weavile.
like not that bad. Um,
Yeah,
110
it's
special
pretty
attack,
good.
95 speed is pretty good for a D tier. Um,
Hmm.
so I think, and just having having a dark type, I guess you already had Shein Pao, but having just having more special
Yeah,
attackers, I think is good just to mix up the
hmm,
damage.
absolutely. And it's also got the option of enabling a very powerful mode too. And it's
Hmm.
got pretty good abilities, right? It's got Flash Fire, which is good always pretty much because
And
well on this
Unnerve.
team because Yeah, Unnerve's the other one, yeah. But I mean, Flashfire you can't really complain about when you've got Lucario, Scizor, Xianpao, and Jumpluff
Hmm.
too. You've got a fire switch and like immunity.
Yep.
Um, and then Unnerve, no berries, and Early Bird also potentially for some of the Spore teams because there's basically two Amoonguss teams in the league as well as some
Hmm.
Sleep Powder stuff. But I don't really see Early Bird being that good. It's for me, it's
Yeah.
always going to be Flashfire or Unnerve.
Yep. All right. Do you have anything else? Any final
Seattle Scissor.
thoughts? Um,
I think that's probably about it for this team.
mhm.
Unfortunately, you can't do Bullet Seed jump left next to Sap Sipper Gudra. I tried like everything to make it work.
It only works once.
I tried Ring Target because I'm like maybe Ring Target, but Ring Target only works on type based immunities, not ability based immunities. So you can't do that.
Hmm. All right, Seattle Scissors. This is the team that sniped the Dragonite from the
Yep,
Littens
yep,
and took Gardevoir from me. How
yep.
cruel.
And
Um,
honestly, I was considering Kilowattrel too at a point because it's a little faster than Noivern and it's a little more
mhm.
offensive with wind power and competitive too because my team is very physical up top. Um, but that got sniped for me, so I went with my backup of Noivern.
Yep.
So it kind of sniped three people
Yeah.
that we know at least.
Yes. And so this is the other Urshifu team. Um, I really like it with Gothitelle, actually. I
Hmm.
think that that's a being able to prevent switches, as well as like hitting through
And
protect is
protecting, yeah.
yeah, it's gonna make it so hard if both of those are on the field and you have a like bad matchup. Sorry, I think you're just done. Um,
If you lead wrong, you're losing them on.
hmm.
I mean the biggest flaw I see with this team is that Dragonite just doesn't really synergize well with it.
Yeah.
Like I'd love a different S tier in that slot. Honestly, they if this guy's smart, he could do something like super like toxic and like swap Dragonite on the like within minutes of when waivers close if he wants to do
Hmm.
that because waivers close that week on day or yeah week 3. So he
Yep.
that would be the most toxic thing ever if he did it like minutes before. Oh my god, that's what I would absolutely do if I was this team. I don't know if he's gonna do that because like if you, let's see what's remaining actually. Zapdos is pretty good actually with it. Oh, not with Kilowattrel and Pikachu. Garchomp, uh, maybe not even better. Yeah, if Dragonite might be better than Garchomp. Can't get
Yeah,
Cress obviously. Enamorus, you got it. You've already got a Fairy type, but you've got Trick Room mode. Maybe Landorus, Therian.
that's what I was
I don't
thinking.
know, or Incarnate.
Landorus
I mean,
Incarnate. Yeah.
That's
Um.
got synergy with Orthworm, kind of. Um, it's just strong.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not much that I like that's remaining that I would love on this team. Um, I don't think Glastrier should have been an S tier. I think that should have been an A tier.
Yeah.
Um,
I, I thought
yeah,
Glacier and Spectre were both pretty bad. But Spectre still it got picked. It's on
yeah.
a
Well,
team, so
it got wavered for. It didn't get picked
yeah.
in the draft. Yeah, like the biggest problem, like I see there's synergy here. There's obviously a Perish Trap mode with Gothitelle Screamtail, and I think that's probably what Orthworm is there for because you probably lead Orthworm Screamtail, you Perish Song, and then you Shed Tail into Gothitelle to buy an extra turn pretty much, and then it's just impossible to kill Gothitelle behind a sub that
Hmm.
quickly. Um, but then
I
like
think
the low
it's
tiers,
literally
I guess
impossible because you go protect, they
you
break the
fake out.
sub,
Yeah.
um,
Well, you
and
got a
then
turn of Fake Out as well with Gothitelle.
yeah. So
You've
yeah.
got a fake out turn, then you've got to protect, and then you're behind a sub for the last turn. So unless you've got Infiltrator, which luckily I do with Noivern, and I've also got Ghost types to switch anyway, so I think I'm
Hmm.
okay versus that. And also I've got Mousehold, which can kill through a sub. Um, yeah, it's pretty. It's very good. Look, or that the Perish Trap core looks really good. I think the biggest flaw is just that Dragonite doesn't fit. The
I
low
don't think
tiers, there's not
Breloom
much to
fits very
say.
well either.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I guess sleep is always scary, I suppose,
yeah,
but yeah, it doesn't really fit with that.
but it keeps
Breloom
the
is
it doubles
also
up on fighting type as well. This team is
mhm.
it's pretty fairy weak. Um,
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem with Dragonite is that this is something that I was talking about with Ducky because we did a little bit of planning beforehand. I was considering Urshifu single strike, or I was considering a Urshifu since I have second pick. I could get an Urshifu. Um, but the thing about Urshifu single strike is that you just incentivize people to go Terra Fairy, right? Because it resists fighting
hmm.
and dark. So like you ideally like this is the crazy thing is that like in my mind, I'm like if I get Urshifu single, the optimal teammate that I could get was Goldengo with it because then they Terra Fairy,
Yeah.
and then you just make it rain, and then you Wicked Blow, and it's gonna clear the field probably.
Hmm.
Um, and this guy had the opportunity because Goldango didn't go until like last round. This guy had the opportunity to get Urshifu single strike Goldango, which is absurdly strong, and he didn't because he wanted to snipe the Dragonite. And now he's punished because he doesn't have a good S tier
Yep.
swap Dragonite too. So this team could have been really good with Goldango in that slot, but he didn't get it.
Yep.
Um,
All right.
I
So
mean,
I.
the thing about Breloom, you mentioned Breloom. I think it's got a good speed tier for Tailwind, and he's got one of the best Tailwinders in low tiers with Kilowatt
Hmm.
Roll. I don't know what Pikachu's doing here because the team isn't really
Yeah.
electric weak at all. And Vaporeon, I've never liked Vaporeon. It always gets picked, but it's
Nope.
it's never good.
Hmm. And also the certain copy pasta that will not be named. Um, but anyway, let's try and pick up the pace a little bit. We've been recording for 40
Yeah.
minutes, and we are
Oh Jesus Christ, we're not
uh,
halfway.
no. So next up we got the Victoria Bells Oryx, notoriously a interesting team builder and drafter.
hmm
But I think that this is
Very very out there. Yeah.
probably the most normal team that they have ever drafted. If I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Um, I think, other than Berserker, I individually like pretty much all these Pokemon.
I agree.
Um,
I agree. And
so
Berserker for me is just a design choice. I just hate its design. I think it's
I
probably fine. You put it next to Zacian, and that shit becomes like two Zacians on the field. My this is obviously a trick room oriented team. The biggest problem being that there's only one setter in Slowbro. Um,
Mhm.
and also the second biggest problem being that your S tiers are both pretty much entirely passive.
Yes.
But I like the A tiers. I like the B tiers too.
Hmm.
I would have swapped maybe one of your D tiers for a trick room setter. I don't think there's many great ones in D. I mean, obviously, the one that comes to mind is Spiritomb, which wouldn't have been taken at that point because Rusty's took that at the very end. No, Rusty's
Rotharita.
did take that midway through, I think. Got the Rita, but it shares typing with Slowbro. I was just thinking Spiritomb because it
Hmm.
doesn't share a weakness with Slowbro. Because
Gotcha.
that's what's
Yeah.
so good about Spiritomb, is that it's only weak to Fairy, which most Trick Room setters are Psychic, and they're not weak to Fairy.
Hmm.
Um, but
But
I mean,
this team is
Slowbro, it's
pretty
it's
weak
a
to
great
fairy.
Trick Room
Yeah.
setter. It can't be taunted, which is really nice in a Trick Room setter.
Hmm. Yeah. You can
Yeah,
go
you said
cloak, and you automatically have both. You could stop both.
yeah, as long as you don't get killed.
Yep.
Hey, but you've got Hariyama fake out. Bax doesn't need to be Trick Room either because Bax and Rotom are decently okay. Tauros is pretty
Hmm.
good speed tier.
Yep.
Squawkabilly provides Intimidate and
Yep.
Tailwind. I really like Squawkabilly as a D tier. That's something that I
Also,
was considering.
Darkspun is surprisingly fast. Yeah, it's base 95.
Yeah, 95. Yeah, I knew
Um,
that. Um, Unfortunately for them, there's no Lava Plumer because Tauros doesn't learn Lava Plume.
mm,
I would have expected the Chi-Yu team to pick up Darkspun because I think that's pretty good there, but they didn't. But yeah, I like all the Pokemon on their own. I just don't. I'm just worried for that they're gonna waste their 4 Trick Room turns with either Amoonguss or Ting Lu on the field, or the
hmm.
Slowbro just gets killed by a Stray Thunderbolt or a Leaf Storm or something because like
Yeah.
Electric and Grass are both traditionally special types.
Yep. All right. Next up, we got the Washington Warriors. It's the other Trick Room team. I think a
hmm
better Trick Room team. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely immediately more offensive with Ursaluna, Brute Bonnet, Sylveon as your S tiers over Tinglu, or not Sylveon's an A tier, but with Tinglu and Mungus, like that's just too passive. Like it's literally just the offensive version of the same S tiers.
yeah.
Look at that.
It is.
It's Ursaluna's the offensive Tinglu and Brute Bonnet's the offensive Amoonguss. Um, Rusty's had it rough in the draft because Rusty's got like 4 Pokemon like sniped from them with a because he wanted Amoonguss, then Amoonguss got sniped immediately, so he went for Brute Bonnet instead. He wanted what was his setter that he wanted? Um,
Yuxi.
Yuxi, which got sniped like super early, yeah. Because like obviously Yuxi has synergy of being able to levitate above Earthquake from Ursaluna. Then we decided to go with the backup of Oranguru, which can have telepathy to dodge
Hmm.
Ursaluna Earthquake, and then also Instruct, which I think is probably better in the end.
But
Um,
Yuxi was really funny. We were kind of
there's no way anybody
screaming
picks it.
in call because we were like, it's the worst of the. Maybe not the worst. I guess. But it's the second.
Mesprit's so bad.
Yeah, Mesprit's the worst of the like trio. But I think Azelf was better, and so like seeing Yuxi go in what? Let's see what pick it was. Is in round 4.
Yeah.
Um, That was
And that
pretty
was a double pick too.
surprising.
So that's essentially round 3 because it was a swing pick.
Hmm. That was
Uh,
that was pretty
that was
funny.
so yeah. But luckily, Oranguru turned out good.
Hmm.
Tauros, Paldea, Water's great value in B. Corviknight, as we said, good steel types are hard to come by, and Corviknight, although I don't think it's the greatest Pokemon in VGC, like it's just it's just a good base stat total steel type, which you can't really
Hmm.
complain about, and it gives him a
Yep.
Tailwind mode as well, which is nice because
Hmm.
like Sylveon is like right at that speed where Tailwind it could be utilized against like a
Yep.
mid-speed team.
I believe
Um,
Oranguru also can work. Yeah, it's 60,
it's
so
like
it's like
60, yeah.
so.
I mean, even if you invest in Brute Bonnet, like Fast Spore is an option too,
Hmm.
which is really scary.
Yeah, Moltres also gives
um, Another
the
Tailwind,
Tailwind
yeah,
mode,
yep.
and then
And Moltres, I actually really like Moltres. I think it's just great value for C tier. Um, it's just got great moves. Flame Body's really nice against physical based teams. I like it a lot.
yeah, with Terra, I think it's really good. It got a lot better
Hmm.
because Fire Flying is a pretty bad type, so being able to get rid of that makes it a lot
Yes.
better. And then just the bottom
Um,
three are more like Trick Room support and like utilizers.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and Electros is another one that can dodge Ursaluna Earthquakes. Spiritom's just
hmm.
a setter that doesn't share typing with Oranguru, like I touched on earlier. And Dragalge is just great stats, great ability for a C tier mon. It's just like the highest value, one of the highest value C tier mons in my opinion. It always goes in our draft
Yeah.
leagues because somebody wants it.
Hmm.
I think this team is like it's very strong. The biggest problem is going to be getting up Trick Room and then getting Ursaluna in position to sweep. But if you can do that, you're going to sweep with it probably.
Yep. Yeah, it has one trick, but that one trick is really strong.
Hmm.
So.
Like if you're ever in a position where you have Ursaluna burned under Trick Room next to Oranguru, you've kind of won because nothing can ever take 2 Ursaluna Earthquakes in a turn
All right.
except the
Next up,
flying type.
oh yeah, obvious. And next up, we got the Colorado Choodle. Choodles. I like this one a lot.
I do too. I at first I was like, "What's the synergy?" And then I see that it's just bulky screens offense, which is good. It's
Mhm.
very good.
Yeah, it's just a lot of good Pokemon. It looks like a team that I would draft, except for Choodle,
Hmm.
obviously. Um,
Yeah, I think Choodle actually is like, if that was a different mon, this would be a really good team.
but the fact that you only have to prepare for 9 Mons is
Hmm.
makes it a lot easier. Um,
Yeah. But Fluttermane, obviously, great Pokemon. I feel like it's a little bit worse in draft because you know it's coming, so you can prep for like if any of your mons learn Bullet Punch, just put it on and you've kind of got
mhm.
Fluttermane dealt with.
But I mean, that's why
Um,
they have Lando, like as
mhm.
Intimidator. It helps
And
with that.
screens as well.
Hmm.
Um, I remember when I was running Klefki, I would always run a little bit of speed on it if I was facing like a Bullet Punch Pokemon. Or like a priority Pokemon because you can outspeed them and then set up the screen before. Like
Yeah.
Klefki just naturally outspeeds Scizor, so they'll probably run. Well, I don't know if this guy will. I would run speed on Klefki if I'm facing Scizor to get the screen
Hmm.
up before the bullet punch.
Yep.
But Moltres loves the screens. Lando loves the screens. Fluttermane appreciates them.
Hmm.
Maka
Muck
actually
loves
is
the
really good
screens.
under screens.
Yeah.
Slowking too.
And
Slowking
Arboliva.
probably there to Slowking is probably there to deny Trick Room over to set it for itself. I guess there's the Arboliva.
Hmm.
Um,
It's an option, but I
and
don't think it's. I think you're right.
Yeah, it's mostly to deny it, in my opinion. But
I
Klefki
think
can
that.
also do that too, because Klefki learns in prison.
Hmm. I think that just having it as an option there for like versus my team. My team's really
Hmm.
fast and like so having a trick room
Yes,
option
yes,
that I'm not like necessarily like super prepared for because the team it
yep,
doesn't really use it that often. I think it's really nice. Um,
yeah. And even like Landorus, Moltres can work under Trick Room if you have Tailwind up, right? Like if they see you're gonna if they predict Tailwind, they can act like they're gonna go for screens with their Klefki and then set Trick Room with Klefki even, and
yep,
then you've got Tailwind up, so now they're somehow they've gotten to a position where their Landorus is underspeeding your Heatran and Trick Room because you have Tailwind. So it's just mind games, and it's the option is always good to have. And I don't
yep.
think I have. Oh, I do have Rabska, my one Trick Room Pokemon on my team, to either deny it with Imprison or reverse it with its own Trick Room.
Yep.
I
Right.
think this team's solid. I like the color synergy. That's something that always like I don't know if I'm like autistic or something, but like teams that have a lot of color variety, I just inherently like more. Like that's the thing about like stall teams in OU is that they're so fucking pink. It's like all pink mons. Like you got Chansey, you got Clef, you got like a bunch of pink mons. I'm like, I don't like it at all.
Well, your
But like
team
this
doesn't
team, I
have very
like.
good color synergy, honestly. It's kind of
I
disappointing.
know. That's the worst thing about Mouse Ape. But luckily, I've got like Gyarados, got blue Gyarados, red Treads, orange Rotom. Then I got some blue down there, some purple. Like the Mouse Ape really holds it back, but I've got some good colors elsewhere. But yeah, this is like this is some bad colors. But I love the colors on that one team. On the Colorado Choodles, in my opinion, is the best best color scheme. Actually,
Mhm.
Silver Smeargles is pretty good too. Urshifu's kind of boring, but Rotom, Toedscroll, Weavile, Thundurus, very colorful. All right, but
All right.
that's enough of my rambling. We can go to a real discussion.
Except we got the charge book. The return of Elm. So Elm was actually one of the founders of this draft league,
Hmm.
but he playing in as much in Scarlet and Violet, had like school and whatnot. But now he's back. Um, and he drafted his favorite
Hmm.
Pokemon, Rillaboom.
That's awesome. I don't
Um,
think it would have gone otherwise because I did not like Rillaboom
yeah.
in S tier without Grassy Glide.
hmm But I
Um,
think Dragapult's
there's
always a
no
really
unburdened
solid one.
Pokemon
It's
either.
hard.
I love
Um,
Dragapult in draft. I've used it before. It's so good.
hmm
Maybe a little bit worse because Fluttermane exists and is faster. Wait, no, Dragapult's faster. Dragapult's faster. I'm on
Yeah.
crack. Um, I think yeah, it's really good. It's got screens. It can go offensive. It can go physical or specially offensive, which is really cool. I like it a lot.
Yep. It's really versatile mon.
Um,
It can do a lot of things. Um,
I like Zapdos and Jungulus actually. That's pretty interesting combo. Zapdos is going to. I guess this team isn't really weak to Intimidate now that I'm looking at it because Dragapult has Clear Body. Tinkaton has not inner focus, own tempo. And the rest of them are special pretty much. But
and
Zapdos
yeah,
is a good
Zapdos is
Pokemon.
defiant.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I was saying Zapdos is there to deter Intimidate, but I mean,
mm,
even into like that's the thing about Landorus is like Landorus is a great S tier Pokemon. The only thing that concerns me is that it only has Intimidate. Because if you're into like the King Gambit team, I'd love to use Landorus without an ability into King Gambit, but you're
yeah.
forced into Intimidate. Whereas like that's like I like that about Gyarados is that I even if I'm not planning on using Moxie, just not having Intimidate is kind of nice sometimes.
hmm
Jugulus is really fast with booster, and it's a very quick tailwinder, second only to I think Roaring Moon. And obviously the priority users.
Yeah.
And then at first I didn't really understand why Pachirisu was here, but then looking into just those two flying types, because like both S tiers resist electric, but
hmm
Pachirisu next to the flying types is pretty good actually, because they're both weak to electric. And like
Yep.
they're you don't want to really use ground moves. Well, I guess you can single target or even earthquake, but you risk hitting your partner and stuff.
hmm
Um, Tinkaton is just a great B tier. I was considering it for my team because it's the best typing in the game, according to Wolfie VGC. Great fake out support, great speed tier. Hits really hard with Gigaton Hammer, even though it's got criminally low attack.
I know. It's one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I like it. I like it a
Hmm.
lot. Um,
Hmm. And it's got
I'm
good
a,
support too. Good support moves with Feint,
oh yeah,
Thunder Wave, whatever else.
Helping Hand, Fake
Uh,
Tears.
yeah, great moves.
Yep.
Also with Moldbreaker, if this was on the Goldango team, you can helping hand
Helping Hand your
Goldango with.
own Golden.
Yeah, I had that on the draft for the Urshifu Single Strike Goldango team because that I was like, okay, well,
hmm
Steel type's so good next to Urshifu Single Strike, and then also helping handing Goldango is really funny. Um,
Yep.
Back to this team though, I actually kind of like Greninja. I don't know if I'd like it on this team as much, but like as a C tier, Greninja's pretty great value. Like I don't think there's many C
Mhm.
tiers
That's what I
offensively that I
wanted
would like
instead of
more.
Zoroark, but then it went before I
Hmm.
could take it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the
Um,
one weird thing about this team is that it has kind of a trick room. Like it looks like it wants to have a trick room component, and then just couldn't get any good trick room mons. Because like you got the
hmm
Pachirisu with redirection, and then like Slowbro and Stantler are pretty good setters. Um,
hmm
and then it just didn't get anything that could abuse it. So
yeah. I actually
uh,
expect Slowbro to be more quick draw stuff because with quick draw, quick claw, I think it's like 47% to have priority, which is like really scary, and it gets belly drum too. So you can actually even just lead Pachirisu Slowbro, belly drum, and then just hope for the if you get like two coin flips in a row, you're in a great spot.
yeah, I,
Um,
that's something I would do, and I would just simply hit the get the coin flips
yeah,
right.
get the
I
coin
don't
flip, yeah.
I don't know if Elm will have the same skill as me.
The
start
only
getting
real
quite
weakness I'm seeing to this team is that it's stupidly fairy weak. Like
Yep.
Dragapult, Zapdos, Jugulus, Greninja all just die to fairies, and that's probably what the Slowbro was really put there for. Like Tinkaton
Hmm.
obviously is good into fairies, but that's just one mon. Slowbro is probably there to just have another fairy resist, as well as
Yeah.
something that can hit decently hard with poison type attacks.
Hmm. Yeah, that's probably true. All right, next up we got the
Hmm
Sunny Coast Salazzle, who managed to
This
get
is another core
Chi-Yu
that I
Bundle.
wanted for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted that, but I'm like, there's zero chance that Shiyu and Bundle can ever make it on the same team because they both go really early. But they somehow, I guess it's probably because they were closer to the end, so they had a little bit less time between their two picks.
Hmm. Um,
Um,
I like this team a lot.
Shiyu, I do too. I like it a lot. There's a couple months that I wouldn't, or I guess really just one. I just would never take Toxapex in
Yeah.
VGC format. I think Toxapex is so passive. Like, just don't pick it.
Hmm.
Um, And the Gastrodon is actually better here than it was in our last draft league because the last draft league took Tox or not Toxapex, Gastrodon. They took it with this, like zero other water weak Pokemon. But Chi-Yu actually really helps. The only thing you have to
Hmm.
be concerned about is you can't click Hydro Pump because it'll redirect it into your own Gastrodon. And I don't
Yeah.
know if Sunny Coast Salazzle's freaking chocolate is the player. I don't know if he knows that, but that is
I'm sure
something
he
you have to be
knows
aware
that,
of.
but I'm not sure if he'll remember it in game.
In
Um,
battle, yep.
I
That's
hope
something
he
you
does.
have to
I
keep
would
in
feel
mind.
so bad. That would
As
be
a
so.
Gastrodon connoisseur myself, I use Gastrodon, so I always try and use Gastrodon at the beginning of every format. I'm like, gotta make Gastrodon work. Um,
And
and
it's
yeah,
it's easy to forget.
I've clicked Scald next to my Gastrodon too many times to count.
Hmm.
Regidrago I actually really like on this team
Yes, that's what I
because
was gonna
if
say.
your opponent doesn't have priority Tailwind or even like a I guess a Paradox one, you just run Scarf Regidrago and it just kills things like so strong.
Hmm.
It's so strong. It's just Typhlosion but like probably better, and it doesn't share typing with Chi-Yu, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But
And
a big synergy with Chi-Yu bundle that like I like it doesn't seem like super apparent when you compare it to Chi-Yu Fluttermane. But like first of all, bundle just hits everything neutrally with Hydro Pump and Freeze Dry. It just hits everything. Bundle provides speed control with Icy Wind. And then obviously stuff's gonna want to Terra into Steel to wall bundle, or not to wall it, but to take the ice hits better. They can't really do that when Chi-Yu's next to it because they'll just get hit with a heat wave.
hmm
And obviously stuff would want to Terra into like not grass, Terra water in front of Chi-Yu, or even Terra Dragon to resist those fire type attacks, and Bundle's gonna hit him with a freeze dry.
yeah.
Um,
Uh,
I think
I think
Crocodile
Crocodile and
is like
Farigiraf are both
one of the
really good
best B
B
tiers.
tiers. Yeah.
Yeah, Crocodile and B is such good value. Crocodile in these draft leagues is always like criminally like low. Well, maybe not criminally low because we've got other good ground types, but I think Crocodile in B or yeah in B is really good. I was considering it for me.
Hmm. And I
And
like
Farigiraf,
Farigiraf
great.
with
Hmm
Armor Tail. It's just the
Yep,
blocking priority again. I think he's really
great
gonna
into
appreciate that.
yeah, great next to Regidrago because you can't be faked out and chip your Dragon Energy.
Hmm.
Good next to Bundle. Good next to Chi-Yu. Good everywhere, and it can even set Trick Room because this team actually does have a Trick Room mode now that I'm looking at it. Because Gastrodon's pretty slow. Braviary Hisui is stupidly slow. It's like 65, and it's got Tinted
Hmm.
Lens, which is actually
Yeah.
really good damage for a C tier.
Hmm.
And then
And
Toxapex, I'm assuming was meant to be on the Trick Room mode, but that's way too passive. I
it's
would
yeah.
swap for like something else. Like there's got to be something in Trick that's like slow. Like Crabominable, probably not, but at least that hits hard.
Hmm.
Um, I
And
don't see anything looking
Drago
just
is
right
pretty
now.
is like can be slow, right?
It's 80. I think it's 80.
Oh, okay. Um,
Yeah, it's 80 speed. But I
yeah.
mean, if you're up against a priority Tailwind team, like any of these ones, except Bundle, can work on a Tailwind or a Trick Room.
Hmm.
Electrode, I'm assuming it's probably just there to be a fast special attacker next to Chi-Yu and finish off the Grass Fire Water core. I would have loved it for my team, but it's decent on this team too. And
All
Toxic
right,
Croak
next.
is probably just there for fake out support.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid mod in its own right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've used
I
it
think
last season. I really liked it. Yeah,
I
yeah,
like
it's a very
I like
solid team.
Salazzles. Yep, it's a good team.
I like this team a lot. Yeah.
All right,
All right,
next up we
next up
got
is Ducky,
Ducky with the Valley of
my my
Volcarona.
my rival in this draft league. We've played like so often, and they've beaten me twice, and I've beaten them once. So I'm looking to get a win. They're my week one matchup this time, so I'm looking to get a win this week.
it was fated. It had to happen. But
It really was. We played week 1 twice now. I like this team a lot actually. Um, I have to take some credit because I was the one that suggested Sandy Shocks. They said, "Do you have any suggestions?" I said, "Take Sandy Shocks," because they had Espathra, which obviously that was an infamous team from
yes,
Regulation B. Um, and they also had Landorus at that time though. But like Sandy Shocks next to Landorus, I think is really good because it's basically the same thing that you would do back in 2016 with next to Precipice Blades Groudon. You just use Gravity, and then like this is just that, but with Landorus's Sandsear Storm with Sheer Force Boost. But then they dropped Landorus for Spectrier, which I think is
which
pretty. It's still pretty decent.
it's all right.
Um,
I like
yeah, it's
Landorus
fast.
more, but
Yeah, I kind of agree. Um, Iron Hands notorious. Not Iron Hands is It's the Pokemon I hate most in VGC. It's so hard to kill. This one
yeah.
has like the most absurd stats of all time. Like it's impossible to kill. I've like racked my brain. Like even like +5 Rage Fist doesn't one shot it. It's like I just want it off the field. But there's nothing that I can do to get it off the field.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Um, it can do so
Um.
many things as well. It's a really good. It's such a good
hmm
mon. Even in
Assault
especially
Vest.
in
It can
draft.
do. Yeah, it can do Assault Vest, it can do Clear Amulet, it can do Lumberry, it can do Leftovers even, it
Hmm.
can do Swords Dance, it can do all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yep, I've seen Life Orb Iron Hands. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so good.
Booster Energy too, because that's their they have Sandy Shocks as well, but
Hmm.
if they're not running Sandy Shocks, Booster Energy, Iron Hands, super strong.
Yep.
Spectrier, yeah, it's a one-trick pony, with if you will. It gets like two moves being Shadow Ball and Terra Blast. um
I think it gets more this generation, right? Didn't it get like it's Pollen
it's
Puff? That's something.
Oh no! Pollen Puff
It doesn't.
is exclusive to Calyrex. Yeah,
Oh no.
it's got Draining
Oh
Kiss, it's got Dark Pulse, and I believe it's got Hyper Beam and Mud Shot. I think, or it's like its
wow.
distribution. But Terra Blast does help it out a
Yeah.
lot. Um, it also does get Nasty Plot too. So if you
Hmm.
ignore it, it can Nasty Plot up, and then even +2, even resisted +2 Shadow Balls or Terra Blasts are going to be very strong.
Hmm.
And Will-O-Wisp is also kind of annoying for any physical teams.
Yeah, because it is really fast.
Super fast, yeah.
Right? And then they
Then
got the
Volcarona,
mascot pick with Volcarona.
I love Volcarona. It's one of my favorite mons to because usually like A tier, and it's so versatile. You can set up with it with Quiver Dance, and you've obviously got Iron Hands, Fake Out support to help with that. But you can also use Rage Powder to redirect away from this Frail Spectrier. You've got Flame Body, you've got Tailwind with it. I love
Hmm.
it. You can do so much stuff with it, Volcarona. It's one of my
Yep.
favorite mons in draft.
I sniped it from Ducky
Yep, yep,
last draft, and obviously it worked out pretty well for me. I won.
yep. You won.
Um, but yeah, in the queue I really like not
I don't know if I
quite
love it
not as much on
here.
this game or this team, but I do like it as a like individual mon.
hmm Samurott Hisui. I always like ghost types and dark types on the same team together. They cover each other's
Hmm.
weaknesses pretty well. And it's just a great one. It hits so hard. It's got basically the same stat distribution as Cleavor, I think. Maybe a little less attack, but it's the same speed tier. A little specially frail, but pretty physically bulky, I think. Great mon. And Sandy Sharks, like I said, it works with the Espathra right below to do gravity
Gravity
hypnosis stuff.
hypnosis is very
Um,
funny.
and it's a little bit worse now that the Landorus Incarnate isn't up there in the S tier slot anymore. But that's it. I mean, Sandy Shark's Espathra, you always have to respect it because if you don't outspeed it, or have like Fake Out or something, you are just gonna get put to sleep.
Hmm. And then Braviary, I think
Um,
is probably just intimidate deter, like
yeah,
for
pretty
Samurott and
much
Iron Hands.
for Samurott and Iron Hands. It provides Tailwind as well, which Volcarona already does, but I mean, it's a C tier. It's
Hmm.
pretty good in a C tier too. I
Yeah, and
remember we
also
took it in A tier, I think, didn't we, back in
yeah, we did Sword and Shield.
WCSL? Well, it was a lot better when flying types were overpowered
Hmm. With
with
Max.
Max Airstream.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then
Also, I told Ducky that if they should switch Appleton for Flapple because nobody knows what. Do you know what Flapple's signature move is? Just out of curiosity, because nobody knows this move.
the one that lowers defense by one stage.
No, oh
Or
yes, I think it does do
Crab
that.
Apple,
But it
I think.
also it doubles power in gravity. Yeah, nobody knows that.
Oh,
It's like 120 base power in gravity, I think.
wow.
And
You're
I'm
right.
like,
I did
yeah,
not know
you
that.
should do that with yeah, in gravity it does 100, it's 120 base power
But
grass
then you
type
can
move
actually use
with
Hustle
hustle
too.
and then
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, in gravity. That's why I said swap Appleton for Flapple and then you've got a great gravity core. With Sandy Shock's the
Hmm.
best gravity setter I think we've ever had, except maybe Whimsicott.
Wow. All
Um
right.
yeah, no, I said that, but then they dropped the Landorus and they didn't get Flapple. I'm like, that would have been perfect. Um
And
and
then
then
they got the
Kaparaja is
Agent
everybody picks
Raj.
Kaparaja in our draft leagues, but
Yeah,
it's good.
always.
I was a Kaparaja hater. I will admit I was a Kaparaja hater in the
I
past,
still
and then it
am.
hit. And then it hit our. We did a multi-battle draft league, the first draft league I ever did. It hit our Incineroar for 40% with Iron Head resisted, and I'm like, holy shit, this one does damage.
Yeah, and
I'll
then it
never
died
forget when it hit
to
our
our but then it died in one shot to our uninvested Flare Blitz.
Flare
So
Blitz. Yeah, but I'll never stop loving Raj for that damage. I always respect him for doing 40% to Incineroar. That's so strong.
all right, next up we got my week one opponent, Happy Haxorus is an Ono.
Oh, interesting.
Um, and
They
so I
have
think
they won the restricted draft league, I believe.
hmm they did. This is a former champion right here. Um,
Two former champions week one. Wow.
yep. That's a tough
Is that
break.
wait? Who else is a former champion? We
Scott.
have Scott, and that's
Spring
it, right?
did win one. Um,
Okay, okay. Well, I
uh,
mean, Spring's in everyone, so Spring has the largest chance of winning by hosting every draft league ever. All right, so the
um,
Happy Haxorus is, um, I'm a huge fan of King Gambit. After helping
yep.
you team build last time, I think King Gambit is
Hmm.
so strong. It's so good,
Yeah, crazy.
in
I got
draft
that in A tier
specifically.
last time. That was nuts.
That's insane.
Um, uh,
Regieleki, although it's not like incredibly synergistic with King Gambit, it's just a great mon in S tier. People were hating on it, but I mean, like, what he waited like a while to get it, I think.
yeah,
Um,
it was really late.
yeah,
Um,
like seventh pick or something. But yeah, it's a great mon. Does it learn? I think it learns Rain Dance, right?
let's find out. Yes, it does.
Okay, so then you've got a pseudo rain mode with Basculegion, Regieleki, as well as Grafai.
Hmm.
I know learns Rain Dance, so that is it activates Basculegion without having to use Pelipper, which is cool. It's got very fast Eerie Impulse to shut down special attackers. It's got very fast Electro Web for speed control. Um, Great mon. I like it a lot. And then
Yep.
Basculegion, obviously, if you run it with Rain Dance support from Regieleki, you can do Swift Swim. Or if the team is like kind of like maybe around the 101 to 110 benchmark, you can just do Electro Web plus Adaptability, and it hits
Yep.
so hard.
Yeah.
Adaptability Wave Crash is absurdly
It's
strong.
so strong.
And then even
Um,
Last Respects, like just like sack some Mons, and then Last Respects and King Gambit also can do. If you're not facing an Intimidate team, you can just do Supreme Overlord and just go crazy.
yep. Um,
Sneasler,
I don't like Sneasler on
I
this
don't,
team.
I
Um,
don't, I don't either. I think honestly, I think A is a little high for Sneasler, even in draft. But like specifically
mhm.
on this team, there's no way to activate Unburdened, so you'd really just be using Poison Touch.
Yeah, and
Um,
you're just using it for fake out pretty much, I think. But
yeah, I don't
it
like it in
shares the
A. I
type
would take it in B.
with Grafai Eye, which I don't like. I like Grafai
Hmm.
Eye more in B than I like Sneasler in A. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a
Yeah. What other ATs are available actually? Tornadus. They don't really need Tornadus though. Cinderace is now available, but they've got Typhlosion. Meowscarada
Meowscarada
maybe.
maybe. I think we both
They've got a
said
Dark type
same
already.
time. Uh,
I mean, maybe Glamora actually. They don't have a poison type. Well, actually, yeah, they would
mhm,
be swapping out a poison type for another poison type.
mhm,
Um, yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really that I like more than it, but this team doesn't have a fake out or aside from that, so it probably is there just for the fake out.
mhm.
How often did they take it earlier? Did they take it? They did take it. They took it third, so they're cooking something. Maybe they wanted a Maybe they wanted like a terrain setter, but didn't get it or something.
Maybe
Maybe
they
they wanted
wanted
to snipe your
Boom.
Pincurchin.
Um,
No, they took they didn't they took oh yeah, maybe they did want Rillaboom. They probably did actually. And then it came back around and then um
hmm
Elm took it. That's
And
probably what it was because I don't
it
think they would
probably
I
said,
maybe
"Oh, really was not a very high value S tier. I can save it for later." And then Elm took it.
and then Elm took it. Yeah, because Elm took it right before they took Regieleki. Yep, that's exactly what it was, I bet. Because they have like Scovillain and stuff. Yeah, that's probably exactly what it
hmm
was. Um Staraptor, I really like in B for Intimidate, Tailwind, and even Final Gambit stuff. We talked
Yeah,
about Typhlosion earlier. This one's the better one
this is
because
just
it's
the
Ghost type.
objectively better version. um,
Yeah. And like the crazy thing to me is that like because we were talking about like yeah, we don't think Yuxi is a very high value C tier. Um then not only did Yuxi go early, but Mesprit also went, which is like just worse, strictly worse Yuxi, which is
yep.
so funny. Like it does exactly what Yuxi does, just with worse base stats.
hmm
Um
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily what this team wants it for though. This team doesn't
I'm
really
not
seem
sure
to need.
either. I'm also not really sure what
Maybe it's
this
just
team wants Bug Trio for, but I guess Arena Trap is always nice.
it's
Um,
fast. Um
mhm.
they probably just want like a fast arena trapper. I don't know. Like this team is
Yeah.
just it's just strong mons. It doesn't look like it has much synergy, but I'm not going to doubt
hmm
Ano because they're obviously a very good player. They've got
Yeah.
something cooked up, and then Scovillain probably just purely for rage powder.
Yeah. I think Chauville is pretty bad, but if you need a
Yeah.
redirector, you need a redirector, and it does
Yep.
that. All
Yes.
right. Next up, we have one of the best drafts in the
I
league.
think this is I think this is the best draft that isn't like in our friend group because I think
hmm
we've got some very strong drafts. I think this is the best one that's like outside of that. And I mean, this is like this is the team that I wish I could have drafted. Um, like because I think eight of these 10 mons were mons that I had considered for my team at one point or another in time. Because initially I wanted Sun, and then I swapped away from Sun, and then I wanted Roaring Moon and Iron Moth on the team that I have now. Um, and then if I didn't get Mousehold, I would have taken Vivian or Quillfish in my D tier, but then I eventually swapped for Overquill. But like everyone except Murkrow and Slowpoke, I had considered for my team. But I
Yep.
think that's like it's just a great team. I mean Scott talks about it in depth in his video, so if you want to hear that, go
I will
watch
link
his
that
video.
in the description as well.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, Torkoal Walking Wake, great synergy. Roaring Moon, he's the Roaring Moon, so he had to pick it. But also Photosynthesis in the sun, Iron Moth in the sun. It doesn't even have to be
Lilligant
in the
in the
sun.
sun.
Yeah, that's the strongest thing about this team because like if I was to draft a sun team, I probably wouldn't have gone for what he did, where he can go sun or rain with the Murkrow. Um, because Walking Wake obviously is a water type, so it works in the rain naturally. I didn't know that it learned Hurricane until he pointed that out in his video. So I'm glad he did that because if I ever end up facing him, I know that it learns Hurricane, and he probably will run that versus my Annihilate. So
Yep.
thank you, Scott, for revealing your secrets to me.
Um,
Um, Iron Moth learns Hurricane too, so that also can work in the rain.
yep.
Vivian, obviously great mon with Friend Guard. It's just budget Mousehold in C tier, which is really good.
hmm
That can also put stuff to sleep if you want to run Compound Eyes. Serena, as we
Yep.
said, was picked specifically for Nen's team to counter pick.
I
Um,
also do know that I was talking to him earlier. He's considering swapping out pretty much all the bottom three he was not sold on. Actually, he's kind of
okay.
sold on Slowpoke, but there's a
hmm
certain mon. I'm not sure if you want to say it, but I think that it's just better.
hmm Oh
Than
yeah, yeah,
Slowpoke.
yeah. Yeah, I was thinking because I've used on my weather teams in the past. I've used Gotharita in D. I think it's so nice. Although in this league, I don't know if it's necessary because the big thing that I like about Gotharita is that you can trap opposing weather setters. Because like if you've seen my videos last time, I used Gotharita on my rain team basically to shut down Trick Room because I was pretty weak to Trick Room. And then I played Rusty's who had a Trick Room team with Torkoal. So I used Gotharita to shut down his Trick Room. And then once he sends in Torkoal, he can't switch it out. So I always win the weather war with Gotharita. But Roaring Moons, luckily, doesn't have much contention because they are the only weather team in this league aside from the single Hippowdon on another team on the Thunderwaves. So they've kind of already won the weather war always. So they don't necessarily need Gotharita. And in his
hmm
video, he talked about Slowpoke using Heal Pulse on Torkoal to get powerful eruptions.
hmm
So Slowpoke has a purpose. So
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
I guess the
I'm
issue
not
is that he has three Eviolite mons.
Yeah, true.
So,
Yeah, you can't use Slowpoke and Quillfish in the same battle, but I mean, Murkrow can always use a Sash instead,
hmm
or something.
um,
Or a
yeah. So
Covert Cloak if you're worried about Fake Out.
I know one of the ones that we talked about. He was was Mabostiff instead of Quillfish as a different Intimidator,
Oh!
but then he gets more
Yeah,
Fairy Weak, so
true, true.
um he is undecided. You might just stay with
Yes, yes.
Quillfish, but
Yeah, that's true.
right.
Next up, I think this is a very strong team too. I think Spring's biggest weakness is that he usually goes all in on gimmick strategies, like using Boltund every week and trying to make it work in one of our
Yeah.
old draft leagues, and then going for Corviknight bulk up every single week. Like knowing what's the gimmick Spring is like tunnel visioned on makes it so much easier to prep because like I knew that he was gonna go all in on Corviknight when I played him, so then I just used like what did I use? Flamethrower, Solomons, and just Rotom Fan Thunderbolt, and I just
hmm
shut down the Corviknight. Um, but this, I mean, he might go all in on the gimmick again, but this is the strongest gimmick he's ever gotten in draft with Enamorous
With
Tornado Thunderous.
um,
It's so strong, and then plus there's also the Abomasnow Articuno mode, which is just
yeah,
so
I hate
toxic, and it's
that
like
so much.
it's the epitome of Oryx no fun anti bright powder gang.
Yes. So if in case you are unfamiliar, in this league we have there's two factions. We have the Chad Wojak Bright Powder Enjoyers, and then the
The crying
Soy
sad
Jack
Wojak.
yes, the Soy Jack anti Bright Powder
Oryx.
gang led
Mm.
by Oryx and the
Because the
Victoria
funniest thing,
Bells.
but basically the lore behind that is that one week Oryx's opponent used Liepard, and then they didn't like have a good item to put on it, so they just put bright powder, and then he missed like 3 moves into it, and he got so mad he like went on a tirade in general, and I think that's the one where it became like impossible to schedule stuff with him because he just kind of like shadow dropped the league just by not responding to his opponents 3 weeks in a row, so everybody got a bye. But after that, I had Solomons, obviously as I just said. Um, he had Weavile on his team, so I had this masterfully crafted plan to use Bright Powder Solomons, and I EV'd it to live 2 hits from Triple Axle, and I said he's simply just not going to hit the third hit through Bright Powder, and I'll always live 2, and he won't hit the third. And then I also had that was the week that I ran Sandvale on Sandvale Lax Incense or whatever incense raises your evasion because item clause you
Yeah,
can't
it's
use 2 bright powders,
Laxincense.
but you can use Lax Incense and bright powder. And I use Sandvale on Sandaconda with Gigalith, and then I set up minimize, and then I send in somebody in Psych Up. I think Togetic I had Psych Up on or something. It was the most toxic strategy I've ever devised, but I was already guaranteed playoffs that week. But then he no showed to the game, so I didn't get to use that.
It
I
was
did
so
eventually
sad.
get reclaim. I did reclaim my title as Bright Powder Gang, versus KD from the Boston Red Sox last time. I used Bright Powder Raichu, and I dodged Icy Wind that won me game 2 by dodging Icy Wind with Bright Powder.
Yep.
But back to Spring's team, Thunderous and Amorous very strong with Eerie Impulse and Scary Face to boost it up. Then you've got the Snow now, not Hail. Snow mode.
hmm
This might be one of the few teams that Wo-Chien works on because everything except it is special pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, Bisharp, I don't think I think Bisharp should swap for something else to be completely honest, because this team is very fire weak with the
hmm
snow Pokemon, Wo-Chien, and Bronzong. I would swap Bisharp out for a water type or something. But
Yeah.
I doubt there's any water types
There's
left in C
no,
because
see, that's the problem with C tier has no good Pokemon.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, Quaquaval could work on this team, honestly.
yeah, I could. I was also thinking like Salazzle might be pretty good on this one.
Yeah,
Um,
honestly, swap Bisharp and Flamigo for Quaquaval Salazzle, and then you got some good synergy. Because like you don't need Tailwind. I don't even think Flamigo learns Tailwind, but like Enamorous learns Tailwind, so you've got Tailwind if you
hmm
need it. So I don't really know what Flamigo's doing. Oh no, Flamigo's
Well,
for Co-Star. That's what it's for. That's what it's for.
Flamigo's for
It's
being
to
a silly
switch.
little guy. Flamigo's for being
It's to
awesome
switch.
and cool.
It's to sack. You switch it in next to the Enamorous, and then it's gonna get fat. But you don't need the special attack on Flamigo. What's
No,
that for?
it's for superpower.
Oh,
Enamor's a
physical.
superpower.
Okay, I see. Yeah, interesting.
Um,
That is
no, I
cool. I like
The
that.
Flamingo is funny and a little bit goofy, even. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he
Mm-hmm.
fits. His vibes are
Yeah.
great.
All right, just swap the bishop for Quackquavel then, and then
Yeah.
I think it's really good because like your team isn't weak to intimidate. Like none of these mons are physical, and Enamorus
Mhm.
actively like likes being intimidated.
Yeah. All right. And last up, we
Morgrim,
have.
obviously. Well, hey,
Oh,
I was just gonna
all
talk about
right.
Morgrim real quick. Screens,
Yes.
screens good on this team. And Dawn fan, I'm a big Dawn fan enjoyer. It's got amazing stats for a D tier. I think it's
Beat me in the
one of the
regular
best.
season.
It did, and then I immediately like regretted it because then I couldn't use it versus you in semifinals because like it was I literally predicted your EV spread down to the exact numbers, and I just EV'd my Dawn fan to be 1 point faster than the EV spread that I predicted, and I was right. And then I'm like,
hmm
there's no way he's doing that again in semifinals because now
Uh,
I boned myself and making my first team too good.
yep. And then the
All
second
right,
one, I was like, okay, I'll just go max speed,
max speed.
and
Yep, yep,
then it can't outspeed me anymore.
yep.
So yeah,
Boston Red Sox. This was the most crackhead team I've ever seen. I think
it
the
was insane.
first pick Arcanine Hisui is insane. When there's regular Arcanine was available at this point because it hadn't been taken until round two, so
hmm
regular Arcanine was available, but he took Arcanine Hisui, which I mean, respectably, I like in B tier a lot. It's a great B tier pick, but when our regular Arcanine's there, I'd rather have regular Arcanine. Um, Honestly, this looks a lot like Nen's team from last time with the Goldango, Palafin, Sableye.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it until just now. Let me look. Does Sableye get Swagger?
Ooh.
Because if it does, that's a cool
Self
synergy with
swagger with
Mudsdale.
Mudsdale.
Yep, no Swagger on Sableye, so that's
Ah.
unfortunate for him. But I mean, there's a Trick Room mode here with Uxie to set,
hmm
Mudsdale, Fungus,
Goodra.
Decidueye, Gudra, yeah, and Articuno even. Um, and then Goldango's really strong, but this team just isn't really built to support the Goldango that well, I don't think. I
Yeah.
guess you can Shadow Sneak and proc a weakness policy with Sableye, or set up screens and then set up a nasty plot.
hmm
Um, Palafin doesn't. I mean, I guess Gutra's a great switch in for Palafin. Like it resists
Yeah.
Palafin's weaknesses. Um, yeah, that is actually pretty interesting. Yeah, it's just solid mons on their own. With a Trick Room mode, kind of like it's this is like somehow like a bottom heavy team.
Yeah, I
Um,
actually
where
agree.
I've
I
never
think.
seen a bottom heavy team in draft before, but like the bottom tiers like have a lot of synergy together, and then it just feels like Palafin and Goldango are slapped on. Just I mean they're great
Yeah.
mons, but
I
they're
think
not
they
really
literally
supported
were
well by the low
like
tiers.
just slapped on
They literally
because.
were there. They were the last two picks on this team, yeah, or two of the last picks.
hmm
Oh no,
Um.
no, they were picked in the middle. They were picked in the middle. Never mind.
Okay. Um.
Like halfway and then 3/4 of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I would still have taken. Well, no, no, no. I not. Never mind. That's not advice for this guy. I was gonna say I would have taken Goldango if I was the Urshifu single strike guy, but um, he obviously doesn't have
hmm
the option to take Urshifu single
Yeah.
strike, being last pick.
hmm But yeah,
I think
I
it's
think
like
the
it's all
team's
right.
funny. It was
Yeah,
insane watching it like be built. Um.
I could have
it
never guessed those mons being picked in that order.
was- Yeah, I should go ahead and show. Look at this. Arcanine Hisui, Gudra Hisui, which were both like they're back to back. There's the 16.
There's
But
a double
then,
pick.
then Mudsdale Uxie was crazy. That
And
was
like I wanted Mudsdale. I wanted Mudsdale for my team, but I'm like, yeah, I could wait till like run 4 or 5. And no, it went round 3. That's insane.
yep.
And then he also got Yuxi essentially round 3. And Tyler was like, Rusty's was like, I'm gonna wait till like round 4 or 5 to get Yuxi, because it probably doesn't go till then, because people are gonna be so worried about getting their S and A tiers. And then Yuxi went round essentially 3 because it was on the swing pick on round 4.
hmm
Yeah, it
That
was
was
just it literally felt like a random number generator, just like randomly sniping picks that we wanted. Because like that's what happened to Scott last time, because Scott wanted
yeah.
Dragapult and then it got picked through the random number generator.
Yeah, that was a literal random pick for Scott.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I don't I don't know I don't really like Palafin. I don't like Palafin in Draft League in general.
I don't
And
either.
I don't like
I
Amoonguss, so I definitely don't like Fungus. Um
somehow
but
somehow I think Fungus might actually be better than Amoonguss, because like with Amoonguss you know it's coming, so you're just gonna run safety goggles on one guy, Lumberry another guy, maybe Chestoberry if you're feeling crazy, Terra Grass on another guy. But Fungus, you're not prepping for Fungus. Nobody preps for Fungus.
Yes, that's true. Uh I guess when you put it that way,
I
yeah, I
didn't
don't.
prep for fungus. Although I when I helped uh Rusty's prepare for this guy last time because he had fungus in the last draft league, and I came up with this crazy idea of eject or room service Torkoal to be slower than the fungus, and then he just didn't bring fungus. I'm like, that's so smart.
But, yeah, I think a lot of these Pokemon are just like Pokemon that Katie wanted to use. Like
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
new Hisuian Pokemon were all like, and then Articuno hadn't really gotten a chance to shine in a draft league up until now.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
I mean, it
so I
works.
think,
It works pretty okay because like Arcanine doesn't. Arcanine appreciates the intimidate deference, and so does Palafin,
hmm
and so does actually no, not Decidueye because Decidueye has Scrappy.
yeah. But, all right, well,
Yeah.
that's the league. Not gonna have
Yes.
a ranking this time. I think the teams are all pretty good. I don't think
Yeah.
it's any particularly bad teams. So I
Yeah,
think
I don't
that.
think in the past we've had some standout like shitter teams, but this time I see inherent like synergies and like I see what they're going for on pretty much every team. There's some teams that
hmm
are like a little feel like little patchwork. But
Yeah.
the like those teams are on like players like the one that I'm referring to is Happy Hackstresses. I don't see a huge amount of inherent synergy, but that's a great player, so I know he's
hmm
gonna make it work.
Yeah,
Um,
I trust the vision. I don't see the vision, but I
mhm,
trust that there is one. Um,
mhm.
so yeah, that's about it. So go subscribe to Conix if you haven't already. Subscribe to me if you
Yes,
haven't
yes.
already. Go watch
Subscribe to
Scott's
Scott
video
too,
on
of
his.
course.
Yes,
He's got a great
he
video
has.
breaking down his whole thing like in a ton of
hmm
detail. So and
Yes,
he's a great
he
player
went
too.
over
So
every pick and like exactly why he wanted it. Um, yeah. So I hope you guys are looking forward to more, and we'll be back in, I think, 2 weeks. I think it's been the first. I don't know. Whenever I play the games, we'll see.
is this
Um,
this is week one, isn't it? Or is week one next week? I don't actually remember.
I think we have 2 weeks. We can start whenever.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, great. Well, subscribe for more gaming.